So the core topic, with all that I do as a seminary professor, and I get to teach philosophy and talk to a lot of students and that sort of thing. What I love to do, what I get excited about, is the gospel. So I say part of my training was to read sort of the corpus of Western philosophical ideas and intellectual thought. And there's a lot of really interesting big ideas that are, of course, part of that shape the world and has given us the world that we have. However, the biggest idea I'm aware of is the gospel, the Christian gospel. It's so very big that it is the biggest idea of God. On the Christian view, God is just by definition the biggest thing you can conceive of, and yet that being came to earth for us to pay the penalty for our sins, to die on a cross and make it such that we can be rightly restored with that God, and we can live in that relationship, which brings peace and happiness to us. I don't think that there's a richer, bigger idea than that in all of philosophical history. Why does that idea personally excite me is, of course, on a personal level, that I get to stand in that relationship. I get to participate in that sort of reconciliation or restoration. It fills that void, that sort of God-shaped hole in my heart. So I get excited about that in part, for sure, because it's a personal fulfillment for myself. But I also have kids, and I also have students in my life, and I also have friends and people that I see who just genuinely hurt, who are just genuinely dissatisfied by life, have been beat up just by the rigors of life. And I think I get excited about that because I think that's what they're all searching for, even though they may not even know it. They might have an idea of religion, or they might have an idea of what Christianity is all about, and yet I think that's exactly what they are actually searching for. So I get excited to share that message because I think it's so very good, it's so very big, it's so rich, and it really truly fills a hole in our souls. I think the ultimate result of this idea of the gospel, again, is being rightly related to God. But I really think what it is from a sort of our perspective looking out is we fill that void in our life, and we find what I'll call happiness, even though I think that term has fallen on hard times where people just think of a sort of smiley face. Whereas the ancient notion of happiness, and certainly the notion of happiness that's in the Christian worldview and that sort of thing, is one where it's not necessarily pleasure, it's not necessarily a smiley face all the time, but it is that you can face any trial, you can face, literally any trial. You have a outlook on life that there's purpose and there's meaning, and there's something for which it's all about, and that's huge. I think for me too, I think it's I love that. For me, the Christian gospel cuts across all language barriers, all the gender barriers, the different nationalities and everything else, and it just crosses. It's a message that truly everybody needs to hear, and it's a message that truly speaks to every human soul.